Welcome. You've had a long day. The world may feel loud, fast, and full of blinking lights, but here things are slower, softer, more distant. Tonight, you'll drift far back to a time when survival didn't come from inboxes and schedules, but from earth, sky, and rhythm. Tonight's story will guide you through a single year in the life of a European peasant during the Middle Ages. It is not the story of a king, a knight, or a famous general, but of the people whose names were never recorded, the ones who tilled the land, braved the elements, and lived humbly beneath the weight of centuries. You'll pass through all 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, but not as you know them. Will feel the chill of a damp morning before the rooster crows. Smell the musk of soil, smoke, and wool. Hear the slow creak of carts and the rustle of hay. You'll sense the rhythm of their lives. Uneventful, perhaps, but never easy. Somehow deeply human. So take a deep breath and begin to settle. Let the modern world fade behind you and imagine yourself standing in a muddy courtyard, barefoot, wrapped in homespun linen. The faint smell of manure, always. Just barely there. This is your year. The air is still cold when the year begins, not by calendar, but by rhythm. You wake not to sunlight, but to the dull glow of ash in the hearth, and the scratchy sound of chickens stirring. The rooster crows, but he's Latin have already been awake. You sleep lightly in these months. Cold keeps you alert. Hunger, too. You stretch your legs and feel the rough straw mattress shift beneath you. Always. There are fleas, but that's normal. The walls of your home are wattle and daub sticks and mud, essentially. A thin thatch roof above, slightly damp, always threatening to drip. The floor is earth. The smell, a blend of smoke, wet wood, and livestock. Your first task of the day is to breathe into your hands and wish them warmer. Then the chores begin. Spring is not yet kind. Yes, it brings growth, but only after struggle. The fields are waiting. They've been resting through winter, and now, with the thawing frost, it's time to dig. You and your neighbors work the land together. There are no tractors, only wooden plows, sometimes a shared ox, if the Lord allows. Mostly, it's spades and backs, and mud. So much mud. Soil is heavy and wet, clinging to everything. It gets beneath your fingernails, under your clothes, in your ears. You stop noticing after the first week. You're planting barley, mostly. Some oats, peas, if you're lucky. No one grows just one thing. It's too risky. It's one bad frost, and you're hungry come autumn. You sow by hand, a practiced rhythm. Reach into the sack, cast, step, repeat. It's meditative. Almost peaceful until your back reminds you it isn't. Beside you, the village children chase a runaway goose. They laugh barefoot in the muck. They haven't learned yet that spring can betray. One child falls, everyone laughs. Later, you'll gather wild greens, nettles, garlic shoots, sorrel. It's not enough for a meal, but it colors the pottage. You eat 2 meals a day, sometimes 3 if someone's baked. Pottage in the morning, always pottage, a kind of thick soup. It's water, herbs, sometimes a scrap of meat, if you're fortunate, usually not. By midday, the sun is warm enough to make you sweat. Remove your cloak. It smells of smoke and mildew. Everything smells of smoke and mildew. You nod to a neighbor. You've known him since birth. You'll likely never travel more than 10 miles from your village. There is no need. The world is here. It demands all of you. The church bell rings in the distance. Not time for anything in particular. But it reminds you the world is still turning. Afternoons are for mending fences, or patching roofs, or weaving baskets, or feeding pigs. There's always something. Sometimes you visit the manor. Not for pleasure, to pay taxes. Your lord takes a share of your grain, another of your eggs. Sometimes your time, you bow deeply. You do not speak unless spoken to. Spring brings lambs, chicks, new shoots, and death, not always in equal measure. Your cousin dies of fever. He is buried without ceremony. You mark the grave with a stone and a prayer. The work continues. In the evening, your hands throbbed. You sit by the hearth, watching the fire eat the last of the wood. There is warmth. Briefly, you fall asleep mid-thought. Outside, frogs begin their chorus. The moon rises over damp thatch. And the earth quietly begins to bloom again. Summer arrives slowly, not with fireworks or celebration, but with subtle, creeping heat. The days stretch longer. The nights grow shorter. The dawn arrives before your dreams are finished, and the birds begin chirping before you've even stirred. You wake sticky. The blanket, thin and scratchy, clings to your skin. Outside your small hut, the air is already heavy, not hot, but hinting at the wait to come. By now, the fields are no longer bare. Green blades stretch upward. Barley and rye whisper in the breeze. Weeds, too. You must walk the furrows daily, pulling them carefully, patiently. Not because you're fond of drink, but because the water from the stream is untrustworthy. It tastes of mud and old leaves. Sometimes of sickness. Because if you don't, the harvest will suffer and so will you. Each morning begins with a handful of cold barley bread and a gulp of thin ale. Summer is a time of work, of endless, bone-deep work. You tend the crops. Yes, but that's not all. You drip with sweat by mid-morning. You drink warm ale. You chew stale bread. You work until your knees feel like wood and your back stiffens into something not quite human. A single day of hail could undo months of hope. There are animals to watch. Pigs that wander too far. Chickens that vanish. Sheep that tangle themselves in hedges. Each animal is both a tool and a treasure. A single goat can mean milk for weeks. A single loss can ruin a season. So you watch. You chase. You fix fences. You call with hoarse shouts that echo across the fields. When the sun rises fully, it becomes relentless. There is no shade in the fields, only straw hats and damp cloths tied around necks. But you don't stop. One day blends into the next until summer becomes a blur of brightness and aching limbs. You just sit, breathing in rhythm, feeling the warm breeze against your neck, listening to the buzz of flies and the soft rustle of grain. Because summer brings its own dangers. Crops can wither, pests can strike. So you tend, you pray, you hope. It's a communal effort. One of the few times the village feels like a single machine. Air smells of crushed grass and sweat. Birds scatter. Insects rise in swarms. Imagine a short break. You crouch beneath a hawthorn tree, the only one nearby. Its shade is meager, dappled and shifting, but enough to offer a moment of cool relief. You share a piece of onion with a friend. Above you, a hawk circles lazily. In the distance, the church bell tolls again. Time doesn't feel linear out here. It stretches, it loops, and then, one day, the village changes pace. Even meat might appear, a roasted chicken perhaps, or sausages if the butcher had good luck. It's time to cut the hay, not for food but for the animals that will need it come winter. Everyone joins in, men, women, children, even the elderly if their backs can manage. They remind you that life, even hard life, can glimmer. Scythes swing in wide arcs. You rake and stack and rake. The hay is piled high, then hauled by cart to be stored in thatched barns or wooden lofts, away from rain and rats. Oh! For balance, you run barefoot through the mud, dragging sacks of grain inside, shielding the goats, covering the woodpile, strong in a way, weathered. There's a strange satisfaction in it. It's tangible progress. A field cut clean, a storehouse full. You sleep well that night, not because your bed is softer, but because your body has nothing left to give. Summer brings labor, yes, but also the rare joy of feast days. The church celebrates saints and holy days, and on those rare occasions, the work pauses. Mumble quiet hopes that nothing will go wrong, now so close to the end. Children dance. Someone plays a fiddle. There's laughter. Bread is shared more freely. You might even see a traveling merchant, or a performer, or a tooth puller if you're brave. It's fleeting, but magical. We step into the most important time of all, the harvest, the reckoning. It's a test of whether all the labor, the prayer, the sweat was enough. You wear your best tunic cleaned and mended. You braid your hair, you smile more freely. These days don't last, but you hold on to them. As July turns to August, the weather turns unpredictable. A sunny morning can twist into a stormy afternoon. Thunder cracks. Rain lashes the thatch. Too much water can ruin everything. So you kneel and pray. You ask the saints for mercy, for enough, not too much, never too much. By late August, your skin is browned. Your clothes hang loosely. You've grown lean. The fields are golden now, rippling heavy with promise, but not yet time to harvest. The final days of summer are a slow boil. You wait. You prepare your sickle, sharpen your blade, and then one morning the village elder gives the word. Harvest begins. But that is for autumn, as the golden fields prepare to fall beneath the blade, and the sun begins to lower earlier each evening. Now it is autumn. The air has changed. It's cooler now. It's crisp in the early morning. The sun still shines, but its light feels gentler. It's less blinding, more golden. The birds seem quieter too. Even the wind carries a different tone, less like a whisper, more like a hush. This is the season of reckoning. Autumn doesn't ask for effort. It demands it. Everything your survival, your winter, your next spring, depends on what happens in these few weeks. The harvest must be brought in, sorted, stored, protected. There is no margin for error, no time for rest. The sickle bites into the stalks with a satisfying rustle. You bend, cut, gather, tie, move. Bend, cut, gather, tie, move. It becomes a rhythm, a chant, a meditation in motion. The barley goes first, then rye, then wheat. Each crop with its own timing, its own texture, its own stubbornness. The sheaves are bundled, carried on backs or loaded onto carts. The fields that once danced with green and gold now lie bare, like emptied plates after a feast. Your arms ache, your back throbs, but the work must continue. Tomorrow may rain, the winds may shift. The window for harvest is narrow. Every stalk matters. Once gathered, the grain must be freed from its husk. You take a flail to sticks joined by a leather thong end. Beat the sheaves on a flat surface. Seeds fall. Dust rises. You cough, eyes stinging. Chaff light, and useless is tossed into the wind. The breeze carries it away, leaving behind the precious kernels. This process is loud, repetitive, physically taxing, but it's also strangely satisfying. Each pile of grain is proof that your labor wasn't wasted. You may, just may, have enough to see the winter through, but not all of it is yours. Soon after the harvest, the steward rides through, cloaked, stern, clipboard or rather, ledger in hand. He was here for the tithe, 10% to the church, another share to the Lord. You count the sacks again, hands trembling, lips moving silently. Have you enough for the steward, for the abbey, for your family, for spring? You hand over the bags, watch them disappear into carts. You smile politely, say thank you. You bow your head, and then you exhale. What remains must stretch. You measure, you store. You pray the rats don't find it. The harvest isn't just grain. The trees now offer apples, small, tart, dusty with bloom. You gather them gently, stack them in baskets, set some aside for cider, some for vinegar, some for storage. Root vegetables, onions, turnips, parsnips are pulled from the earth, muddy, misshapen, but welcome. They're dried, strung, hung in cool cellars. Cabbages are chopped, salted, stored in barrels. Everything is preserved, everything stretched, because soon the ground will freeze and nothing will grow. Autumn is both abundance and preparation. The kitchen smells of vinegar and herbs. The air carries the scent of smoke and apples. Your fingers are stained, your arms tired, but you know, this is the most important time of all. As much as autumn is labor, it's also community. You help your neighbors, they help you. Together, the village moves like a many-limbed creature, lifting, hauling, preparing. Children chase geese through the fields. The blacksmith hammers late into the night, mending tools for one last push. Sometimes there is music. A fiddler plays while beans are shelled. Women hum while weaving baskets. You laugh more, share more. Because hardship shared is softened. Then, at last, when the last stalk is cut, the last barrel sealed, the village breathes. It's time to celebrate. The harvest festival is modest, but joyous. Bonfires are lit, bread is broken, meat is roasted, any remains. There is dancing, clapping, singing, even the steward might smile. Even the priest loosens his belt. You wear your cleanest shirt, your warmest cloak. For one evening, you are not just a peasant. You're a survivor, a provider, a participant in something timeless. You look up at the stars and feel proud, because winter is coming, and you are, at least for now, ready. As the bonfires die down and the last notes of music fade into the cool night air, the village prepares to hibernate. Autumn's warmth begins to retreat, and now we walk with you into the quiet season, into winter, into hunger, into reflection, into the cold. Not a time of doing, but enduring. Let's now explore the season of stillness and what it meant to survive when the world froze over. Now it is winter. The earth is quiet now. Frost clings to every branch, tracing the world in delicate silver. The fields lie still, wrapped in white or shrouded in mud. The sky hangs low and pale, more often gray than blue, and the sun feels reluctant, barely lifting above the horizon before retreating again. The animals grow silent, and so do you. This is winter, time not of work, but of waiting, of hunger, of reflection, and of hope. Imagine your home. Not a stone manor or timbered hall, but a cottage, small and dim, the air heavy with the scent of smoke and earth. One room serves all purposes: kitchen, bedchamber, gathering place, and shelter. The fire burns low, carefully tended, never wasted. A single flame can mean the difference between warmth and frostbite. Bundles of roots are tucked beneath the table, few onions in a net. Dried herbs hang from the rafters. A pot of stew on the hearth thin, but warm. You eat slowly, stretching what remains. The walls creak with the wind. Snow presses at the door. You wrap your shawl tighter and listen to the popping of the firewood. Outside, the world sleeps. So do the fields. So do the birds. And so, as much as possible. Do you? The days are short now. You rise in darkness, eat in darkness, sleep in darkness. Candlelight is a luxury, so is time spent idle. But in winter, time stretches oddly. It slows, pools. You find yourself gazing into the hearth, eyes unfocused, the minutes slipping away like smoke. Sometimes the children play. Sometimes they quarrel. Sometimes you tell them stories of green summers, of harvests, of saints and spirits. Outside, foxes leave tracks in the snow. A raven caws from a distant tree, and nothing more. It's a season of silence. There is still work, but not the kind that leaves you sweating in the sun. You mend things. Clothes are patched by the light of the fire. Tools are repaired, nets untangled, baskets rewoven. It's a time to care for what you have, because there is no more coming. Some days you carve. Simple shapes, handles, bowls, toys perhaps. Small acts of creation in a world gone still. Winter forces you inward, not just into your home, but into yourself. Your thoughts, your memories, your hopes for the year ahead. It is a cold kind of reflection, but not without beauty. But hunger is always there. It arrives not with fanfare, but with whispers, with smaller portions, with second helpings denied, with a sudden realization that the barrel is lighter than it should be. The taste of salt pork feels distant. You ration carefully. You dream of eggs, of cheese, of apples. The fat on your bones feels thinner. You count the days until Lenten worry there will be nothing left to give up. You add more water to the stew. The children complained first. Then they stop complaining. You share what you can. You tighten belts. This is a hungry season, a patient season. But you've seen it before. You will again. And yet, even in the leanest times, there are moments of celebration. Candlemas, midwinter, the 12 days of Christmas. You save a little flour, a little honey, if you're lucky, chicken perhaps, enough to pretend, for one evening, that the world is full again. You sing, you eat, you laugh, despite the cold. The neighbors gather, priest blesses your hearth. These moments matter more because they are rare, like finding a warm stone in a frozen river bed. Poke the ground outside to see if it's softening. As January gives way to February, the air begins to shift barely, a drip from the roof, a thawed patch in the snow, a crow's call sharper than before. The days begin to lengthen, second by second. You check the grain stores again, count the seed bags, and in the quiet, in the cold, in the flickering firelight, would imagine green, green grass, green stalks, green hope. The winter has not broken you. Not yet, and perhaps not at all. Winter is not dramatic, not like war, not like plagues or storms. But it is constant, unforgiving, humbling, and in that there is power. Because to survive a winter as a medieval peasant was not just to survive the cold, it was to survive the weight of time. The slowing of days, the quiet despair, and the unwavering hope that one day soon the earth would soften again. You were not idle. Your life as a peasant has been one of motion, of resilience, of quiet labor. You endured. You prepared. You remembered what warmth felt like. You waited for its return. And so, as the snow begins to melt and the rivers begin to sing again, the wheel of the year turns full circle. From the sweat of summer to the stillness of winter. But now, let's take one last moment to reflect. Before we return to the present, let us close our eyes and remember, here we are. The year has passed, not with grandeur or fanfare, but with the quiet, persistent rhythm of survival.
Oh.
Spring planting, summer toil, autumn harvest, winter hunger. The cycle of life as a medieval peasant was not one of romance, nor one of ruin. It was simply life, hard and repetitive, but also rich in meaning, in purpose, and in moments of unexpected beauty. You have now walked through all 4 seasons. You've felt the soil between your fingers as seeds dropped into furrows. You've wiped sweat from your brow as you swung a sickle in the sun. You've tasted the first apple of harvest, heard the crackle of leaves underfoot, smelled the smoke of the hearth, felt the frost on your breath, and now you sit at the edge of the hearth, hands warm, heart steady. The world is still outside. The fields are resting, and so are you. The peasant's life was not captured in the pages of royal chronicles. It wasn't etched into marble or sung by minstrels. But it mattered. Every pot of stew, every mended shirt, every stone set in a road was the product of a life lived in motion, life rooted to the land. Every loaf of bread, every beam of timber. There was hardship, yes, but also resilience and community. Neighbors who helped rebuild after fire, mothers who shared extra broth when a child fell ill, the passing of knowledge through hands how to plant, how to pray, how to pray. They were not kings, not scholars, not saints, but they endured. And in that endurance, they left something behind. And now, as your body settles deeper beneath the covers and your mind begins to drift, let the echoes of those footsteps, those quiet, bare feet on the floor of a wooden cottage fade softly. Let the clatter of the pail, the rustle of straw, the hum of a lullaby hummed by a tired mother-all melt into silence. No need to retain every name, every season, every hardship. Let the wheel of the year slow, turning gently in your thoughts. The fields wait beneath the stars. There is no need to remember every detail. Just know that they were there. And for this one quiet night, you walked beside them, so rest now. Knowing the fires are banked and the doors are latched, the oxen sleep in the barn. The world is turning slowly. And tomorrow, it will begin again. But for now, you don't need to plant or plow or patch. Just breathe and let the rhythm of their lives steady and enduring, carry you into your dreams. Sleep well. You are safe. Good night.